industry veteran with over 30 years of experience in diverse leadership roles. Mr. Jogendra Singh is a President Finance and Group CFO for Hero Enterprise, which includes groups of companies engaged in manufacturing, insurance broking, real estate, educational institutes, and art and culture foundation. He's also on board of several companies within the Hero Enterprise. Before Hero, he was the CAO for Daimler India Commercial Vehicles Division, where he was responsible for finance, taxation, real estate, and external affairs. He has represented India on various forums and has many awards to his credit. On the personal front, he is a keen singer, a poet, and has translated Business Book of the Year 2020, The Making of Hero, by Mr. Sunil Kant Munjal in Hindi, and has also featured in books Dressology by Ms. Nandita Pandey and Strategy, Valor and Grit, written by 26 Punjabi business leaders. Talking about Punjabi, it's interesting to note that he was featured as one of the most influential Punjabis of the world by intellectual Punjabi Chambers of Commerce, New Delhi in 2020. Congratulations, Jogendra ji, on that. And thank you so much for your time today. Welcome to my channel.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Aparna. Thanks for the generous introduction. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, sir. Pleasure all mine. So I'm curious to know more about being the most influential Punjabi. Could you share a bit about that?
Well, this is an organization, where we look at how the businesses can be improved for, primarily we are looking at, some Punjabi businesses. There are some of these organizations, such organizations where I'm involved with. So one of that was the Intellectual Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, and whatever inputs we could give for improvement of business, especially by the MSME people. And that was a time primarily when the pandemic was setting in. And during that pandemic, we tried to do our bit, of work and service. When I talk about Sikh, even if it is a Punjabi or a Sikh, this does not mean that we are talking about only one section of people. Because as a Sikh, we always talk about humanity as a whole. We talk about Tere bhane sarbat ka bhala. So that's the motto, that we have. So if you are a Sikh, that then you're talking about the universe. And this you would have seen. One aspect is, langar that you could see anywhere without looking at, the caste, creed,
Yes.
etc. That we give. And during this period, we did quite a lot of things, whatever we could. So one was medicine langar. Medicine was the need of the hour, at that point in time. Arrangement of oxygen, or the kind of pain point that were there at that point in time we were trying to do. And probably they thought me eligible for this. There are many people who have done much more, than what I have done. So in that sense, I accept it with a lot of humility.
So coming back to your journey, sir, you have such a vast experience in such dynamic roles, and I'm curious to know if there's any particular event, incident that had impacted your life in a big way, and any learnings you derived from that.
So, when you go through this, 33 years or 34 years of, work experience, there is not one particular incident or, a incident, that is a eureka moment, so to say.
Yeah.
However, there are many times when you can say, oh, that is something which was truly life-changing. That was, something which was truly life-changing. So, I talk about, maybe two instances I'll talk about, and I'll talk about, other things, that probably I would say that shaped me who I am. So one thing is very clear that, you are a product of all the experience bundled, in. So that's one. And two, there's not one person, who has influenced you in that sense. You're not, when somebody says I'm a self-made man, I say this is the biggest bullshit that I can hear of. Because whatever you are, there are so many known and unknown people who have really been involved in making you what you are. And their contribution in making you what you are is immense. And with all humility, with all gratitude, you should accept it. But there are two incidents I would just talk about. One, on a personal level, after 1984, we all understand what period that was.
Yes.
It was at that point in time projected as a Hindu-Sikh riot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not getting into any political controversy, we all know what it was now. Yes. Even after some time, we couldn't understand what it was. But at that point in time, this was being projected like that.
Mm.
So we decided at that point in time, I was doing my chartered accountancy.
Okay.
And we, with a grade of, a few friends, about 8 friends, decided that we would go on a cycle expedition.
Mm.
We will go across North India to talk about, to give a message of unity and amity amongst the communities. So we started on a cycle expedition from Agra to Amritsar, and from there we went to Shimla, to Mussoorie, and back to Agra. So it was a large, journey on a simple bicycles, 8 people, with shoestring budget, almost like nothing. But at that point in time, at that age, you never cared, what we are talking about. And we went to schools, we went to some, clubs and talked about, gave this message. And we met so many different people, and those bits, shape your life. So maybe I can talk about 2 instances or 3 instances out of that journey. So there was one gentleman we met in Solan, while we were going to Shimla, and he said, "Why don't you come to my place?" So he invited us to his place for dinner, and we just went off, and we found that this guy was working in a bank and a very avid blood donor. So he said he has already donated blood about 30-40 times. So that was something which was deeply impacted me. And after that, probably I also said, this is something I'm going to do. So far I would have also now done it, this blood donation 30, 40, 50 times. I don't keep a track of it, but absolutely, I try and see wherever and whenever I can do that. So that's one. The other one was, we met another gentleman and he asked a very specific question. And the question was, Jogendra, you guys are going, with a unity and amity mission kind of a big lofty words. How many people do you think you'll be able to change? Very difficult question. I said, well, I don't know. He said, I know. Zilch, 0. You would not be able to change a single soul. And then he said, it's not even important. What is important is that out of 8 of you, if even one person can live and internalize the ideal that you're talking about, that will be successful journey. Wow. This, whatever initiative you are taking, this is not for others. This is for you, for yourself, for your internal, consciousness. So that is what you need to do. So that is something which impacted me very, 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 very deeply. So I think that is what we were trying to, really look at. So that was one incident, absolutely, where, during this entire trip of bicycling, normally, CS students don't do such kind of, things. They're not known for that. And even at that time, it seemed like very difficult, but that's something which has really deeply impacted me. There was another incident I would talk about, and as a professional, that has shaped me. There was a time when Hero Honda, at that point in time, it was Hero Honda and not Hero Motocorp. I'm talking about, many, many years ago, a few decades ago, when Hero Honda was getting the best prize for corporate governance. And we were waiting for the minister who had to give away the prize. And I was sitting right behind our group chairman at that time, Mr. Brishmohan Lal Munjal, who was a doyen of industry at that point in time. And I just asked him, I said, we used to call him Bade Bauji. So he said, Bade Bauji, I want to really understand, when I talk about corporate governance, we have a very technical view of, clause 49A of SEBI, and you just, do box ticking, and we say, okay, we are very good in what is your view? His view would be completely different, I knew. And what he said was something, and I've quoted this around the world, many times. And he said, put your hand on your heart and ask yourself what you're doing. Whatever you're doing, is this the best you can do? Is it the right thing to do? Is it in the best interest of the company to do? Is it hurting somebody unnecessarily, unintentionally? You just ask these questions. You would know the answers. And then whatever you do, we would absolutely, back you up. That's something which gave me a huge, lesson. So a couple of these instances, if you can really say, have had a very deep impact. Apart from that, on a personal level, when I was, my sister was a very good, teacher of Hindi and Sanskrit. So that has really impacted me, and that's how I picked up my Hindi and Sanskrit during, those school days, college days. Used to participate in debates and declamations, etc. Was a sports person. In NCC, I have done some good work. So all of these, together, probably a man is a sum of all of these experiences.
Absolutely,
in my view. Yes.
Awesome. That was so profound. All the three examples you've narrated, they're really, really profound impact. I'm sure it shaped the way you are today. While this is true, is there any practice or any ritual that you follow every single day which ensures that you are, you stay your authentic self? Is there anything that goes behind the scenes that people don't know about already?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So my ritual is very simple. When I get up, I thank the God and Almighty. So that's the first thing. Probably, one has got into a ritual to do that. That's what try and do. And then I go for my walks. And this is also a very, very interesting story. When the pandemic started, and we knew in a few days that this is going to be a long haul. It's not something is going to be over. So I sat down and made a list. I said, what am I going to do in this time? So I made a list of about 25 items, and I also asked myself, what is it that I can do which I have either never done before, or can enhance me personally, professionally, spiritually. So the kind of thing that I wrote on that, so one thing was a very clear at that point in time, which was, even earlier in my mind, was I wanted to translate this book of The Making of Hero. And I translated that book. I kept myself on a very strict disciplinary, schedule. So every day, every night from 10 to 12, I would do the translation, and then there were iterations and so on, On the health front, because that was a very important, aspect. So I said I would do 10,000 steps a day. Good thing was, out of these 25 lists, 23 I have already completed, and there were, a couple of very different things. So for about 18 months, I was doing 20,000 steps a day. So that was my average.
Wow.
And I've now reduced a little bit, but I'm still keeping about 15,000 steps a day. So and my highest achievement was 50,000 steps a day, one day only. So that was one. Other thing, I wanted to record a lot of songs. So I recorded a lot of songs on Smule. I wanted to record 100 songs. That was the target. I recorded over 300 songs. I wanted to, sing some songs in Sanskrit. So I said, this is something I've never done.
Right.
So I picked up Meghadutam. Meghadutam is, from Kalidas. Is more like a love ballad. So, and beautiful, if you understand, Sanskrit, that is truly, truly beautiful. So that's something, that, so if I talk about, this routine or, habit, mindset, whatever, So music, meditation, spirituality. I think this gives you a lot of calm, so to say. And I'm a big fan of mental and physical fitness. So your mental fitness resides in a fit body only. So I always talk myself. Currently, actually, as we speak, we are running in our group, mm, uh, something what we call a walkathon.
Okay.
So everybody has to walk 10,000, steps a day. And we are, every day we say who's the leader. So leaderboard is, done every day.
Right.
I am also a global ambassador for a walkathon that we are going to do from the sports ministry. As part of the sports ministry, so that's one thing that I'm doing, and I'm taking it to different universities, and almost about 10, 12 universities have already enrolled into that. So all of these, so that's my routine. I keep things probably very, very simple. I'll tell you now about, talking about this routine. This reminds me of, many of my people, sometimes they come and they say, I'm feeling low. And what do I do? And this, feeling low could be, you don't understand what's going behind that person. So it could be anything. I remember, I can't take the name. So one person came and said, I said, do very simple thing. And she was very low on confidence, primarily. Say, I feel very low on confidence, and I can't, I'm feeling very sort of, this is kind of a depression I'm feeling. So I said, depression is a very big word. Don't even talk about it. Just laugh a lot, so that's one thing. And two, then this is something I do myself. So I chant Mool Mantra, as we say in Punjabi,
Ekonkar.
Ekonkar,
Yes.
Satnam. So that's a, and I told her, I said, I'll give you a mantra that you should, which is from Rig Ved, and only 2 words, and you should just chant it in your mind. You don't have to chant it, outside, of this. And this is a very powerful thing. You said, Aham Brahmasmi. And Aham Brahmasmi is, I am the divine flame. I am part of God. Once you start chanting it, you start realizing it that you're part of God. And if you're part of God, then there is an immense possibility inside of you. If you look at God, if you look at nature, it always talks of abundance.
Correct.
And that abundance you internalize when you really understand the concept of Aham Brahmasmi. So even when you say Mool Mantra, Aham Brahmasmi, or whichever is your faith and belief system, you understand and take that as a ritual sometimes. And when you say people feeling low, etc., that's a great way to come out on this. And more than anything, I always say, laugh a lot. You should absolutely be laughing a lot. There was a wonderful book, in fact, McKinsey came out, and they talked about humor. The name of the book was Humor Seriously. And they talk about, even in your professional life, humor has a huge role to play. And I've seen this day in and day out, while I'm negotiating, while I'm talking to somebody. A little bit of, a flash of humor can deepen the relationships, can open the gates for you, can be a wonderful icebreaker to start with. So a couple of, these things that can work wonders.
Wow. Truly, if you start your day with gratitude, nothing can go wrong, right? So amazing. And it's good that you mentioned about being low, and you narrated an incident. However, it's never possible that all of us are in one single plateau of emotions, right? You're never the happy, even though you're generally a happy person, generally person who brings in the cheer. It's never continuously, right? Not thinking about toxic positivity and not thinking about suppressing negativity. What would you do if you are encountering such kind of emotions, like feeling low or feeling anything which is strong emotion that's not really your nature?
I sing.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So that's a great stress booster, stress buster, so to say. So if you want to take away stress, you sing. Music has a huge is a big therapy actually. If you can't sing, listen to music. So that's one. And I always talked about spirituality, or that's one thing. What you have to really understand is, so these are external factors that can
True.
affect you.
True.
Can at least smoothen the pain, can reduce the pain whenever you are going through any kind of a bad episode or bad mood. It's a painful episode in that sense. That pain can be physical or emotional.
Right.
So music is one that can help you, but more importantly, you have to try and understand the source of that pain. Why? If you step back and reflect, I think that is very, very important. And then we say, and this is something I sometimes tell when I talk about innovation or when I talk about failure. I said, if there is a setback, don't sit back, step back and bounce back. Wow. And that's the way it has to really be. Since we are humans, it is not possible that we will always be happy. We will always be, so there are certain things that can affect us. So one thing is, that try to get that thick skin so that, things should not affect you. It's very important, I tell you, this is something that you realize, you understand, you learn when you grow in age, probably. However, I feel when we are talking about this as part of experience, I think it's very important to get thick skin on many things. Even if something can pinch you, just see, is it truly worth taking up, that fight, or thinking more about it, or let it just go. If you can develop, and this comes with practice, this comes with conscious practice. Yes. If you can do that, then I think there would be a whole lot of things that you can get away from, especially the negative influencing factors. There's another thing I always talk about. Keep positive vibes around you. Be around people who are positive thinkers, who have smiling faces, and as a what we call totka, or a tip, always smile. This is the cheapest ornament for you. Right. A smiling person will always be more photogenic, more would look better. And when you smile, when you laugh, some part of the stress will automatically go away. So even if you have to force yourself to smile, please do smile. It will help. It will help for sure.
Awesome. So I had so many questions to ask you in just that one one narration, but I wanted to sort of bring you back to the point where you're talking about failure. Is there anything that you have encountered, any failure story, that whether on a personal front, right, in your own experience, or something that you follow, or any suggestion that people should follow if they are encountering such kind of failures? What do you really need to do?
Failing is like falling. And what do you do if you fall?
Get up.
You get up. Kapde jhade aur aage chal diye. That's what you do. So if you really see this as part of a routine activity, it's part of the process. It's part of one of the steps in the process. Then you don't even feel there is anything bad about failure. And sometimes, failing is good, because success never teaches you. Success brings, sometimes a lot of ego in you.
Right.
It is never a teacher. Failure is what teaches you. And there used to be a big, joke about it. If you're a startup and you want to raise some funding, say if you have failed once, it will be easier for you to raise money
Yes.
in the startup world. And if you have failed thrice, 3 times, you're certain to raise money. So therefore, when you talk about, you know, on the business side, you know, innovation or anything, or if, on a personal side also, if you want to grow, you cannot grow unless you have failed. You know, what is a failure? Failure is there is some expectation and you are not able to complete that expectation.
Right.
So all you have to do is try and try once again and try once again. Failing is only when you stop getting up after you fall.
Correct. Yeah.
So one of our professors used to say, he said, जिंदगी एक मुसलसल सफर है, जो मंजिल पे पहुंचो तो मंजिल बढ़ा दो. He says life is a continuous journey.
Correct.
Once you have reached a goal, so he's going beyond failures. He says even if you have achieved something,
Yes.
then
Keep going.
you know your milestone should be the then go for the next milestone. So जिंदगी एक मुसलसल सफर है, जो मंजिल पे पहुंचो तो मंजिल बढ़ा दो. So that's how I really feel. You should not be, actually speaking, it is very important in my view in our schools, early in our schools and colleges as well, we should have a chapter on failure.
Correct.
We should talk about failure. We should see how people should deal with failure.
Any incident in your life, sir, where I mean the failure per se, as well as how you overcame that?
So I'll tell you a very personal incident. I have not talked about it. So I was in 9th standard. School. There was some incident, you know, where somebody snatched my answer sheet and he was sort of, you know, cheating from that answer sheet, and both of us were booked for cheating. Okay. That was, you know, the time when we went to the principal, and the principal talked about it, even though he knew, you know, that I was a very, very good student, you know. And he said, how could you be doing that? I said, no, I was not doing that. He just snatched it. And my sister was very upset. You know, my sister went and she was teaching. She was also a teacher in a different school. And she said, you know, this is something which I would never do. The principal said that, you know, I'm okay. I'm clearing it. But for next year, you have to show me your metal. My sister said he will do it. Her blessings, God's blessings, maybe this motivation. I was very happy, you know, that in that year, I topped UP board.
Wow.
So my rank was 1 in commerce. So in those days, you know, we used to have science faculty. So in you know, UP board, we used to call it commerce faculty or Vanijya Sankai. So in that, my rank in UP was number 1. And I got distinction in Hindi, English, maths. So with these distinctions, you know, I cleared that exam, and then the principal was very, very happy. So if you take that, you know, sometimes some of these failures can goad you to really work harder.
That's a great attitude, sir. Now, moving on to your leadership journey, and you've been a leader for several years now.